Hi friends, welcome back to our channel. This is your Tuloso Midway Primary School teachers. We are going to be going over the lessons that you have in your packet. Today we're going to be still on week 1. We're going to be going over Wednesday, March 25th. We're going to first start off with reading, and our reading skill is making predictions. Now remember that good readers always make predictions. They always make predictions in any book that they read. It can be any type of book, nonfiction or a fiction book. Now we're going to look at this cover right here. This cover is of a book titled Duck and Goose. Now we would take a look at our cover and we would see, what's going on here? Now we know that we can see duck and goose. Now we can tell by their demeanor, by the way that they look, we could tell that they are not very happy, huh? Why can we tell that? What is happening and what are they doing that we can tell that they're not very happy? Well, you might say, look at their eyes. Their eyes and their eyebrows, they look like they're looking at each other, but they don't look too happy, do they? Now also, look, they have their arms crossed. They are kind of like, right? Now, we can see that they're sitting on something, and to me it looks like a ball. Now, I'm going to make a prediction right now, okay? Let's make a prediction together. Now, let's say duck and goose. Now, clearly duck and goose are not getting along, okay? So maybe they're not going to be friends. Maybe duck and goose are not friends at all. And maybe they're playing a game of ball and one of them was upset because they're losing, or maybe they're having an argument. Let's see. Now this book is called Duck and Goose, and it's written and illustrated by Tad Hills. Let's take a look. It says, now let me move you really quickly so you can see it a little bit better. There you go. It says, "Oh my, what is that?" Duck quacked. "That is a silly question," Goose honked. "It is a big egg, of course." "Of course it's an egg. I know that," huffed Goose. Now, let's stop right there. We can see that they are already not getting along just by the way that they're talking to each other. Now, one of our predictions was correct, that they weren't going to get along, but one of them doesn't seem to be correct, does it? Now, we thought that it was going to be a ball that they're going to be fighting over, not an egg exactly. So let's see if we are right. "I," said Duck, puffing out his feathered chest, "am the one whose egg this is. I saw it first." Goose quickly raised one webbed foot. "It's mine. I touched it first." Well, clearly we can see they're not getting along. "Hey, you should never put your dirty foot on an egg," Duck squealed. "Don't you know anything about caring for eggs?" "Yes, I do," Goose cried out. "Stop yelling," Duck yelled, then whispered forcefully, "Don't you know that you and your screaming are very likely disturbing the baby who is trying to take a snooze inside the egg?" Goose wished that Duck wasn't right. He lowered his head and whispered softly, "I'm very sorry. Go back to sleep in there." Now we're going to skip over to another part of the book to see if we can make another prediction. Now, we're going to make a prediction right here. We know that they're not getting along, right? Well, and they're saying that they're fighting over the egg. So who's going to get the egg? I'm going to make a prediction, and I'm going to say that neither of them is going to get the egg because they're fighting. And remember, when we fight, none of us gets usually a good outcome. After a flurry of fussing, grunting, and groaning, slipping and sliding, honking and quacking. Duck and Goose found themselves back to back. Scoot over. I don't have any room, complained Duck. Now, just for time purposes, on the next couple of pages, what's going to happen is that they feel a little bit of rumbling in the egg, and they start getting crazy. They start jumping up and down, and they say, what do we do? What do we do? They waited, and they waited, and they thought that because it was rumbling and it was going every which way, what do they think is going to happen? Now, Duck runs around, Goose falls off the egg, and they don't know what to do. What they say is, I think we should remain calm, Goose yelled back. Do they look very calm? Not really, right? Excuse me, a little voice called out. What was that little voice? Was it an egg? Was it the little hatchling that hatched from the egg? Duck stopped. In all the exciting confusion, he had failed to notice the bluebird kicking their egg. Can I play too? She asked. Play? This is no time for play, yelled Duck. This is no time for games, yelled Goose. And what is with the kicking? I was only trying to get your attention, said the little bird. Well, you got it, Duck huffed. False alarm, Goose. Back to work. Can't you see that we are very busy here? Goose explained to the bluebird. This is serious business. This is perhaps the most important moment of our lives. Oh, my, I'm sorry, apologized the bluebird. I had no idea. I just thought maybe I could play with your ball. It's a really nice one, she added, then flew away. Now, was one of our predictions from the very beginning correct? It might be. She just said ball. Goose gulped. Did she say ball? Whispered Duck. You know, I did have doubts, Duck finally said. It is a bit squishier than most eggs I've seen. Yes, and I must say, I was somewhat suspicious of those big dots, Scoot admitted. It may not be an egg, but it is lovely, said Duck. Oh, absolutely, Duck. Goose agreed. It's a keeper. Okay, so can we predict just by looking at this last picture? Can we make a prediction? What's going to happen? What will happen after the story ends? Well, we can predict that Duck and Goose will probably play with this ball, right? Now, it was not an egg, but do you see that throughout the entire story, we were able to make predictions, right? Alrighty, so what you're going to be working on for your work today is we're going to be making predictions, and you're going to be reading The Cake Disaster. You're going to answer what do you predict will happen next, and what clues did you use to make that prediction. You're also going to read Don't Trust a Tiger. Okay, now let's move on to our writing skill. Now we have been going over compound words. Compound words. Now when we have compound words, we see that we have, let me move you over a little bit, that we will have two words, right, that are put together. For example, sun and light make sunlight. Cow and boy make cowboy. Now remember that compound words are two words. They can be big words or they can be small words that are put together to make one new word. Now on your activity for today, it's going to be called Compound Mania. Okay, Compound Mania. Now let me see if I move you this way, if I'll be able to get the whole thing. There you go. So compound mania. With compound mania, what you're going to do is you're going to have, it's going to give you two words. For example, oh, that's not right. Eggshell, okay? What you are going to do is you are going to, in your activity book, you are going to write the two words that make up that one word, eggshell. Now, what is the first part of the word? Well, it is egg. So you're going to write egg on the first line. Egg. And then what's the second part of the word? Shell. So you would write shell. Basically, what you're doing is you're practicing on identifying what the two words are that make that one word. Now, this one is a special word for Mrs. Velasquez. She would love it, wouldn't she? It's honey and bee. Honey bee. Okay? Now, on the two lines, what would be the words that you would write? That's right. The first one would be honey. The second one would be what? Bee. Good job. Okay, so what you'll do is you will look at your paper that's called Compound Mania, and you will do this with the words that they have provided for you. Now remember to write nice and neat so that your teachers can see that you're doing a wonderful job with your work. Okay. Now, what we are going to go over for math today. Now, we have been going over time, haven't we? Okay. Now, sometimes time can be confusing. Sometimes time can be a little bit difficult for us to remember. Now, what we want to always remember is that when we're looking at a clock and we're going by the minute, because one of your assignments is going to be telling time with 1 minute intervals. Now, remember that we have numbers on our clock. For example, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But why are they spaced out so far apart? Now, they're spaced out so far apart because there are 5 minutes that are in between each other. So when you see a clock, you'll see that not only does it have these big lines, but it also has small lines. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, let's just say that we had a little hand pointing to the 1, and then we had a big hand pointing to the 2. Now, we know that our little hand is always our hour hand, and we're going to do what we practiced on the first day. We're going to label it. The little hand is the hour. The big hand is the minutes. Okay? Now, in order for us to tell this time, we know that the little hand is still where the 1 is. And we can count if we do not know. We can count what time this is by just counting this. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what would be the time if this big hand was on the 2? Well, we would say that the time is 1:10. Okay. Now, remember that that's the way that we count our minutes. Now, let's say that we had a big hand pointing to something like right here. If we had it to one of these spots right here, we would just count 1, 2, 3. Okay, now remember that all of these are the minutes. They're going to go all the way to 60, right? Now 60 is where the 12 is, and we don't call it 60, we call it o'clock. Now you all are going to have another video that you're going to watch. Now the video that you're going to watch is going to talk about some new vocabulary we haven't been going over yet. Now when we see a clock, we do see that it has different numbers. Now instead of that 5, we know that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then our big 12, right? Now, what we're going to be going over is we're going to be thinking about our clock as a pizza. Now, why a pizza? Well, because whenever we get to a 3, we're going to be calling that a quarter past. When we get to that 3, we're going to be calling it 15 minutes because that's 5, 10, 15. That's 15 minutes. That's a quarter past. Now, when we get to this 30, to that 6, we are going to say that that's half past. When we get to the 9, that's 45 minutes. We're going to say a quarter till or a quarter to. Now, but why? Okay. Now, let's think about this as a pizza. Okay. Now, when you get a pizza, you have all of the pieces of the pizza, right? But let's say that I have to share with 4 of my friends. So I'm going to get 1 slice each, okay? Now, if I take a piece of the pizza, this piece and every other piece is going to count for 15 minutes, okay? If I take 1 piece, that means I'm taking 15 minutes away. Now, 15 minutes after this o'clock is going to be a quarter past. Now, let me show you. Quarter past. So, if, for example, we had a time that said, what would be, let's say, our time, our hour hand is pointing to there. And then our minute hand is pointing all the way to that 3. If your minute hand is ever pointing to that 3, then that would mean that you are on 15 and you can say it is a quarter past, let's say 1. Quarter past 1, a quarter past 12. Okay. Now, if we take 1 more piece, that means that we have taken half of the pizza, right? Half of the pizza is gone. So if we take half of the pizza, we take 15 more minutes and we are on that 6. Now, when we are on that 6, it is 30 minutes and that is half past. So whenever we go, for example, Team A, whenever Team A leaves team in the morning, it is 8:30 in the morning, okay? 8:30, or we could say half past 8. Now, if we take another slice of this pizza away, now we are only left with 1 more piece, right? Now, instead of saying a quarter past, we're going to say a quarter to, because it is a quarter till the o'clock, okay? So that's 45 minutes, a quarter till. What you're going to be doing in your homework today is you're going to be doing a find and color, quarter past, which is going to be 15 minutes. If the picture that you see, the minute hand points to that 15, then, or the 3, right? The 3 equals 15 minutes. If it points to the 3, we know it is a quarter past. If the minute hand, for example, is going to be pointing to this 9, And let's say the minute hand is pointing to the 7. The hour hand, I'm sorry. So this is the hour. This is the minute. And we would say that it is 7:45, or we could say it is a quarter till 8 o'clock because we only have a quarter left to go. Okay, now you have that homework to do. You also have your telling time with 1 intervals. So if you have any questions, remember to watch those videos that are also on the lesson plan, okay? I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I hope that you all are staying safe and healthy. Come back tomorrow to our channel to see your next video. Thank you.